writers and readers, I'm Christy Stratus, and I was tagged by Joshua Robertson to do the All About the Reading tag, so let's get right into it. First question is, what do you look for most when you pick up a book? A beautiful writing style, B, a character-driven story, or C, a plot-driven story? And the answer is definitely B for me, a character-driven story, because beautiful writing style and plot don't mean a whole lot to me unless the characters are deep and real and they're really well fleshed out. If you've ever read my book, Anatomy of a Darkened Heart, you know that that is definitely something that means the most to me. Number 2 is, what are your pet peeves in books? I think I mention them all the time, and that's tangents and unnecessary details. So if you describe to me in detail a blue sofa, it had better have something to do with the story. If you're just describing it for funsies, I'm going to be annoyed. And if there are a lot of tangents that really have nothing to do with anything, this can get tricky with fantasy, because if you're doing world building and you're really trying to just build everything out and make sure that there's so much detail so it feels real, it should still, in my opinion, be completely relevant to the story. And if you just have it in there to have it in there, this is one of the problems I have with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. There are too many tangents and details that are unnecessary. Book is great, the world building is great, it's too much. Number 3, if you could print one quote on your wall, which one would it be? It would be, "I do, I will," and that's from Henry IV, Part 1. Shakespeare, it's my favorite series of histories, Henry IV, Part 1, Part 2, and Henry V. And that quote sounds so simple, it sounds like nothing, but it is such a huge turning point in the whole series, and it's the moment when Falstaff knows that Prince Hal is going to turn into a real King Henry and isn't going to just let them get away with anything they want to. These, these low-down types, thievery, all of those, lazy, all of that. He's not going to just use his power to support people, even though he cares about them, if they're not going to be on the up and up. So I really love that 4 words define the moment of change in one person, and I've always held on to that. It amazed me when I was reading it, and it stuck with me forever, and that's what I would put up. Number 4, which genre would you like to explore more? That's actually a tricky one. Right now I'm exploring fantasy more because I realized I have not read that much of it, and I'm doing it subgenre by subgenre, and that has been so fascinating. Another one I feel like I don't totally get enough is, I hate to say it because I'm really not a fan, even in like watching romance movies, I don't really like them, but either steampunk or romance are a combination because I don't really appreciate them. I don't really get them that well. So when I read a romance, unless it's a romantic comedy or it's got some clever twists and stuff, I just avoid that completely. So to me that means I should read more of it so I can appreciate it better. Number 5, was there ever a book adaptation you liked better than the book? I think it means a movie adaptation. So The Fountainhead, I really like. The book is fantastic, but as we all know, Ayn Rand tends to go on a bit. So I really like the movie, which cuts out all of the excess, from the author trying to say, let me explain what I mean and let me just say it over and over because it's so important to me. This movie really cuts to the chase, and I think it's a fantastic version. It's rare that I like a movie better than I like a book, but I think in this case, and Atlas Shrugged did not do the same thing. The movie, there are so many complaints about it, but The Fountainhead is so worth watching and is really great. Number 6, if one of your favorite books would be adapted or get a new adaptation, which book would it be and which role would you like to play? The only role I can think of that I would like to play is Ophelia in Hamlet, and that's I couldn't do it because I can't memorize anything ever. But if I could, I would do that, and obviously Kenneth Branagh would have to direct me. He's my favorite. But if I could do Ophelia, I just think that there aren't too many ways to interpret her in my opinion, but she's a fascinating character, and the rule over her by the men around her and the different things that they're telling her to do ends up driving her nuts. I think it's a really original idea. I love her character and the artwork that's been done about her, and I would love to act her. Number 7, a hyped book you wouldn't recommend at all. Don't yell at me, but it's 1Q84. I really didn't like that book at all. I could go on and on about why I didn't like that book. Honestly, the whole point of it, these things that you learn about, I'm not going to give anything away in case you want to read it, but you learn about these characters and things that are going on that you don't know why or how, and that question is never answered. It's very confusing. There's a ton of repetition, and it could have been at least 2/3 shorter. So really don't like it and wouldn't recommend it. Number 8, a book that highly influenced your life and way of thinking. This is going to sound a little bit strange, but Memoirs of a Geisha heavily impacted me. I really realized how lucky I am to live in this country, in this time, and how different things could have been for me. And for some reason that never really struck me until I read this book. I felt like my world turned a little bit differently after that, and I appreciated my life much more. Number 9, are you a fan of rereading books? Do you often do it? I don't reread books very often. I keep the ones that I love, and here and there I reread them, but if I was going to reread anything, I would reread We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I think that book is absolutely fantastic, and I also think that it was put into the wrong genre. It was put in YA, and even though it's about teens, it's really not a teen book in my opinion, and I feel like a lot of teens rate it pretty low because I feel like you really need to be out of your teen years to understand it and really get it. So I could do a whole video about that, but if I was going to reread anything, I would do that one. I don't do it often because I have such a huge TBR list. Number 10, which book title could easily be the title of your life? Family. I don't have to explain that. Number 11, which book should be required reading for everyone? The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood should be read by everyone. It is what I think is a consequence of the direction we are headed, sort of, in a lot of ways. I don't like to get political at all in any way on my channel, on my blog, or any other place. But I think The Handmaid's Tale shows us what freedom really means. And I think that it's both excellent in writing style, in really getting to the point, in revealing things slowly, and I think that it also just shows us something that everyone needs to learn, which is why you should really respect the freedoms you have. So those are all the questions. I'm going to tag Amie Winters, Jason Greensides, hopefully Jason, this will make you make a video because I love your videos. And the last person I'm going to tag is Rochford. Thank you so much for joining me and spending some time with me.